What's up everybody, GenExDividendInvestor here. In this video I show you me buying $60,000 of dividend stocks in my Fidelity account, kinda like a previous one I did where I bought $450,000 of dividend stocks when I was in E-Trade about 8 months ago. So if you like dividend stocks and videos like this, then I kindly ask you to please hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't yet, and click that bell notification. Go to the timestamp on screen if you want to jump to the stock buying, but I encourage you to listen to what I'm going to say before the buys. If you've never watched my channel before, then welcome, and I wouldn't fault you for thinking that I'm some random person who's flexing my portfolio over YouTube. However, if you're not new to my channel, then you probably understand me well enough to know that I'm not about immature internet bragging, and instead my motivation is to inspire, educate, and entertain investors, and to show what's possible if you consistently invest for decades in quality dividend companies. If you're sitting there and thinking, nice, but I could never do that, then I ask two things of you. Number one, never compare yourself to me or to anyone, other than yourself from yesterday. Number two, believe that you can build a large portfolio, because I know you can, even if you don't believe it. Yes, it'll take time, but the power of the dividend snowball is real. Let it work its magic. I opened this video at a great quote aimed at all the people who are dwelling on their past, more than planning for the future or taking action in the now. A tiny change that you make today can radically alter your future. The butterfly effect is real. Don't underestimate what your life can become if you invest and don't quit. So instead of leaving me a comment telling me all the reasons why you can't ever build a huge dividend portfolio, instead leave me a comment telling me how you will. Anyway, last week I released a video called What I Learned Living on Dividends for 1 year, which summarized my experiences as someone who retired in their 40s and is paying the bills with their dividends. In that video I mentioned that I was in the process of doing a direct rollover into a Fidelity IRA. Well, that money came in on Friday, October 8th. So that same day I placed a few lump sum buys, and after you watch me doing that I'll show you a helpful summary view of all my dividend stocks in my 2.0 spreadsheet tool, sharing what my new average weighted portfolio yield is, what my portfolio CAGR is, how much my portfolio is estimated to grow year over year based on my new investments, along with a slew of other fun things that dividend investors love to hear about. First, a warning. I recommend caution as you watch this, as I'm buying into a stock market that many experts feel is on the precipice of a correction or crash. Some experts predict a 10% to 20% fall is likely. Some think a 60% crash is going to happen. Others are predicting another dot-com-like correction. Heck, some are even predicting it will happen this month. So why would I be doing lump sum buys right now if I think there's a decent probability we will crash? Well, there are a few reasons. One reason is due to some health conditions I have, which I touched upon in a video I called The Time I Sold All My Stocks. Medical issues which unfortunately can cause me to suddenly die or become a mental vegetable. It sounds harsh, but it's true. If someday my social media mysteriously goes silent and you never hear from me again, then you know why. Or maybe I got kidnapped by the Swedish bikini team. Either way, I'm probably not coming back. Thus, given my medical realities, I need to leave my dividend portfolio in a cash-generating state because my wife, while being the most wonderful person in the world, is unfortunately terrible with finances and lump sums of cash. We've learned that the best thing for her is to have money flowing into accounts at a rate a bit above our budgetary needs, as large amounts of idle cash are more likely to be spent on things we don't need. So I like to keep a bit of cash in various places, but not too much. It helps me sleep well at night knowing that most of our cash is invested in quality dividend-flowing companies, rather than let it sit somewhere and be tempting fate. Another reason I invested is because I've determined that some of the companies I own are currently inexpensive, i.e. less than their intrinsic values. I sometimes will also invest in my top-tier companies if they're just fairly valued, recognizing the trade-offs of doing so. Finally, it's been statistically shown that if you have a 100% stock portfolio like I do, then the returns from lump sum investing outperforms dollar cost averaging about 75% of the time. Thus, I often lump sum invest when I come into material amounts of cash, like from a bonus or from a sale of a house or whatever. I know that dollar cost averaging is also an effective investing strategy, and I DCA some spare cash into growth stocks and crypto, and I effectively DCA'd for decades via my drip when it was on. So if you aren't comfortable with the risk of a crash happening in the short term, then dollar cost averaging might feel better for you rather than lump sum investing or sitting on the sidelines. And you need to recognize that no one can consistently call when the market will crash. Not Jamie Dimon, not Warren Buffett, not even your Aunt Sally. Well, maybe she can, but I swear no one else can, and I definitely can't. I've been thinking the market has been too hot for years, so instead of me trying to time the markets, I just buy when I have cash and stocks are cheap, which I feel is intelligent investing, not timing the market. Some really great investors have huge piles of cash, so they can invest when markets are an absolute steal, not just when stocks have dipped. I don't consider myself a great investor, but I've done okay being okay. So for all those reasons, plus the fact that I plan to own companies for decades or more, I'm fine to lump sum invest into historic market highs and not worry if the market falls 90% tomorrow. After you watch my buying, I'll explain why I bought specific stocks, some key risks they have, and what I think their intrinsic values are. I run a free Dividend Discord server that everyone is encouraged to join, and in my upper tier Patreon channel on it I mentioned I was doing these buys before I did them. Okay, let's get to it. Okay, so we do trade. Put it in the rollover. AbbVie. And let's see. Buy. Market order. Let's see if we calculate 30 grand of AbbVie. 269 shares. Preview the order. Place that. Enter a new order. Stay in the rollover. MO. And we'll do a buy. Market order. Let's go for 20,000. 426 shares. There we go. And let's do one last one. And if we're going to do buy, market order, 10. Oops, 10,951. Looks like, what, 67 shares? There we go. We can see that my IRA has around 1.1 million in it. My taxable has about 1.2 million, and the rollover is at 158 grand. And then I will go into explaining why I went with those buys today. Let's start with MO. I actually wasn't planning on adding any more to my Altria position, but the price these days is just too compelling to ignore. Another quality company in this space that also looks inexpensive to me is British American Tobacco, ticker BTI. I feel Philip Morris is currently reasonably priced, but not inexpensive. Tobacco stocks in general have risk from declining smoking rates, which they counter with pricing increases in new products, and they also have risks from increased regulation coupled with more educated consumers. But I don't see the tobacco industry dying in my lifetime. I just see some aspects of it slowing down, with other aspects doing better. Recently, Altria beat earnings expectations, but a key growth driver of theirs in heated tobacco products was potentially hurt in a patent infringement case that their partner Philip Morris International just lost to BTI. Altria and PM will fight this court loss, but I believe they both have the opportunity to innovate a new competitive product in that space. Thus, whatever the courts conclude, I think will just slow them down for a while, until they can create their own heated delivery device to speed up again. Or to say that differently, Altria and Philip Morris aren't banned from having a heated tobacco product. To simplify things, they were told their design was infringing on BTI's design, so I believe they can just create a new design and proceed along a different path. Those heat not burn products are a good revenue growth driver because they supposedly give users the same rush, with potentially less toxins than normal cigs, so I guess I'd say they might be less bad for you. Anyways, while I'm not a smoker, I do support people having the freedom to choose if they want to have a cigar at a bachelor party in Vegas or a cig at a Rush concert, which I've never done, or if I have, it was only once and I didn't inhale. And before the PC police come get me, no, I'm not glorifying smoking. You saw what happened to Gandalf when he fought the Balrog at the Bridge of Khazad-dûm, where he got burned by fire. Was it from the pipe that he stored in the top of his staff, or was it from the fire-breathing demon? Anyways, I put Altria's intrinsic value at around $65 to $70 a share, depending on how conservative or aggressive I get, and today's buy at $46, while higher than my buy from earlier in the year at around $41, is still significantly under what I priced their fair value at. I put AbbVie's intrinsic value between $165 to $190 a share, so today's buy at $111, while also higher than my original buys, is still significantly under what I priced their fair value at. AbbVie's primary risk comes from the patent issues with Humira and the risk of losing material portions of revenue as generic drugs steal market share. AbbVie is doing a variety of things to replace the Humira revenue loss concerns, from creating new products to acquiring drug companies that have compelling revenue streams. Finally, I put Johnson JNJ at an intrinsic value between $145 to $170, so today's $160-ish buy seems only fairly valued, so I made it the smallest of my buys. J&J is one of those companies that I like enough that I tend to always buy a bit of it in almost any market condition. If they had been under $145 a share, then I would have invested a greater portion of the $60K into them. J&J has its own risks from various lawsuits these days, but I think they'll deal with those and continue to move forward, and it makes me happy feeling confident that my great-great-grandkids will benefit from J&J dividends. Okay, now let's take a look at my overall dividend portfolio. Okay, here we are, and I won't go over everything like I normally do, but you can watch my other videos if you haven't seen my portfolio. But they're sorted based on market value, so let's look at some of the interesting stats. So for example, I'm going to scroll over to here where you can kind of track a calendar of when things have paid out and when they're estimated to pay out. So with these new investments, we see that Johnson JNJ was paying $954 a quarter, and that will jump up to $1,025 a quarter going forward. And then Altria was paying $2,432 a quarter, and that's going to jump up to $2,929. And then if we go down a little bit, we see that AbbVie was paying $861.90, and they're going to move up to $1,211 a quarter going forward. And if we look at the bottom here, we can kind of see how the sums will be going forward month by month. So now it'll be about $7,000, $5,700, $8,800, $7,000, $5,700, $8,800. And then if you look at what the divs per year is, it's going to be $86,536.70 at an average weighted portfolio yield of 3.44%. and an average weighted 3-year dividend CAGR of 7.96%. Okay, and then these numbers are pretty fun. It shows the estimated annual income with no drip, which is the top row of numbers, and estimated annual income if you have a drip on, which is the bottom row. I've turned my drip off, so we use the top row to estimate how my income would grow. This basically looks at the dividends and then the CAGR of the portfolio to kind of estimate how it would grow if the CAGR holds, i.e. if the companies keep increasing their dividends like they have historically. And what's pretty amazing is that at year 2, this shows that I would hit that magical 6-figure mark for passive income, which would be pretty amazing. I think it's probably too aggressive, i.e. they'll probably slow them down a little bit, but you never know. And then you can see how this would grow over time. So at year 10, if they kept on increasing their dividends, I'd be making $186,000 a year. And if I had my drip on and was reinvesting those dividends, then the amount of passive income would be crazy, $277,000. And then as we keep going out, it gets crazier and crazier. Year 15, year 20. So here at year 20, would be making $400,000 since I have the drip off, all the way out to year 30, where my portfolio would be making $860,000 a year of dividends, and I would be spending all that money every year, and it would still go up like that. And that is the power of the dividend snowball. And we can see here that I'm making about $86,500 in yearly passive income, which is about $7,200 a month in passive income, which is about $1,664 a week, or $237 a day, which is equivalent to $55 an hour of wage income, or $9.80 an hour of income if it's 24/7 by 365. And then this is my updated portfolio value percentage by sector. So we see technology is about 19%, healthcare is about 11%, sin stocks are 10.9%, communication services about 5.2%, consumer staples food beverages 8.4%, energy 7.5%, consumer staples household goods is 9.3%, utilities about 7%, consumer discretionary 8.5%, industrials 5.4%, real estate 3.5%, and financials 4%. Cool, I hope you enjoyed seeing my accounts that way. Speaking of accounts, M1 offers a new account sign-up bonus of $30 if you open an account per their requirements. Click on my M1 referral link in the description of this video if you are interested. Which reminds me, I constantly have companies reaching out to me to sponsor their products in my videos, and so far I've turned them all down as I really have to believe in something before I'll pitch it to you guys. M1 is a product I use and I feel it's got a nice simple interface for investors. Now I'd like to shout out Div Collector on Instagram, who bought my Dividend Investor mug on Teespring and then he tagged me in a picture. He said he bought this great mug from me and now he can drink a cup of joe, research dividend stocks, while maintaining financial discipline by having Mr. Buffett on his side. I've configured my Teespring merch account to automatically donate 10% to St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, which is an awesome organization. So thanks to Div Collector for supporting me and helping them. Now I'd like to shout out my latest YouTube subscribers who have signed up to support me on patreon.com at the Aristocrat or King tier. So first, thank you Steve Smith. I normally don't call out a person's last name in my shoutouts or on my scrolling news ticker at the bottom of my videos unless they join my Discord using their full name. Also thank you Marcello A. Thank you Crispy RS. Thank you Don P. And thank you Onis. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Patreon aristocrats and kings gain access to my dividend portfolio tracker spreadsheet tool that I use in this video, along with they gain access to multiple private channels on my Discord, including one where I let people watch my videos before I release them to the public, as well as where I often let you vote on which thumbnails I use for my new videos. If you made it to this point in the video, I ask you to please slam that thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't yet, and click that bell notification. And don't forget to join my free dividend Discord, a place where thousands of dividend investors hang out and chat. Thanks for watching and hitting that thumbs up button. Stay positive and I'll talk to you again real soon. I am not a financial advisor and these videos are for entertainment, inspiration, and educational purposes only. Investing of any kind involves risk. I am only sharing my opinion with no guarantee of gains or losses on investments.